I'm always looking at like, real estate and properties, and everyone's always coming after car dealers and the car industry. I mean, when they show a house, it's completely fake. There's no disclaimer. It's all CGI, all new furniture. I mean, could you imagine if we did that when we were listing our cars? I mean, they would come after us, and they don't have to do anything. I go to Zillow, I go to Realtor.com. The houses are it's fantasy land, and the average person says, "Oh, that's beautiful."
That's a great point.
Welcome back, everyone, to another great episode of The Wheelhouse. This is going to be actually our third even-numbered episode. So welcome to episode number 6. We've got quite the crew today and quite a bit of things that we're going to unpack in a fashion that will make anyone with the most severe case of ADHD even be able to understand what it is we're talking about. So starting up in the top left corner, Matthew Haiken, retail dealer operator, principal for stores in the New York metro area. Paul Daly from ASOTU, Patrick ABAD, as if I need to even say who that is, as well as Brian Kramer. So we have the ABAD Kramer Haiken Daly committee here for things. Yeah. So kicking it, and then of course our normal disclaimer, which we need to have probably some like offbeat music to go along with this, but the opinions presented today are those of the presenters only and not representative of the companies who employ them, companies they are employing, companies who work with them, or their employees. First thing.
Boring.
There you go. Yes.
BMW said that they're going to give you your heated seats if you want to order them, and it won't be behind a paywall anymore. And let me just tell you why I didn't think this was a bad idea to begin with, because like if you're in a state where Brian is, where the temperature, if it drops to 60 degrees, people come out with fur. And so like maybe they want heated seats for a couple months and then that's it. They don't want to buy heated seats from the factory. And so like 3 months out of the year, they want heated seats. I didn't think that was a bad idea, but BMW has gone into full retreat on that. And how did this go bad?
They picked the seats. I mean, they just want subscription. They want people to opt in. They could have picked anything, but they mess with
the seats.
Come on.
So un-American. Seats, don't touch our seats.
No, I think one of the reasons that there was such a backfire in the beginning is because the heated seat is like a physical item that exists in the car, and they started there. And people are like, wait, you put it in the car, it's right there, and you're stopping me from using it. I think that just does something to someone's psyche that is just not good, especially for a luxury brand. I'm not surprised at all. I bet if you go back to when we talked about it, we were probably like, this is going away.
Right. I mean, but it was like intuitively we said that. It was just like, why though? I mean, there's logic to it.
Yeah, but the delivery sucked. The way they rolled it out, I mean, I think that's where all their heat came from. They didn't roll that out properly. They didn't give people options to say, hey, if we did this, you only paid for the time you were going to use it. Like, oh, that'd be awesome. No, they were like, hey, look, this is our new deal, and take it or leave it. And it kind of, I think it blew up big time in their face.
Use horsepower.
People like
control. I mean, it's common sense. Ask a dealer. What item do you think we should have our customers subscribe to? They're not thought out as well.
They should have gone with something that people weren't already programmed and used to. Because if you sit there and people already are used to blind spot monitor, lane keep assist, power liftgate, and then you take it away, they have a problem with it. If it's something they've never had, then it's a different situation. But either way, people like the choice, even if it, like, I'm paying more for Instacart, right? It's stupid. It makes no sense. I can drive across the street, but I still pay it anyway. That's my choice. And that's the difference, is that they didn't have as much control over how it was laid out, like everybody else said.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, and Matt, I mean, I wish you could tell me exactly how to get OEMs to come talk to dealerships and ask them based off their customer feedback, what should be in cars next. But if that happens, you just let me know. All right. I think by now, and even though it's been around for a while, Bring a Trailer, we're all familiar with that. Some of us may have bought cars on there. Some of us may have sold cars on there. Or some of us may have seen other people that make it look like they've sold a car on there, but we don't actually know if that happened. But the founder of Bring a Trailer gave an interview a couple of weeks ago, actually. And really, there was a quote that really stood out from that interview. That's the one that I wanted to discuss. And he said, verifying these claims made by sellers is the thing that's the hardest thing to do. And then unfortunately the current landscape of internet retailing doesn't really give you, the buyer, a level of transparency and trust. And that seems to be all that we talk about when we talk about digital retailing. But he's attributing a lot of his success to the fact that you put a car up on Bring a Trailer and every person in the world can come and comment and add their knowledge to this. And he seems to be saying that increases transparency. So they're really coming after lack of transparency that they say is evident in the endemic sites. I learned that last week. And then, Craigslist, eBay, and our own dealer websites. Well, what do you guys, Brian, being in digital retailing, let me just start with you first. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I thought last week was interesting because I realized I didn't have to buy an N95 mask for an endemic. But along this question you're talking about with Bring a Trailer, we have been looking into what the people we're talking to saying the future is there's going to be a lot of fraud, and the fraud is going to happen in different ways. So you're going to actually have to certify images. And I don't think this Wikipedia approach is the right answer where you have everybody self-policing them, because next year you're going to be trolls. But there's ways with AI to be able to say, has this image been altered? Has this VIN number been altered? Because I don't want to give anybody any bright ideas on this show, but there's some really freaky ways that I was exposed to recently through Photoshop and virtual retailing, where you're going to have some sort of, what's the, at the airport where they validate your ID, ID.me. You're going to, people, most dealers, you're already all over that, Daniel. But the same thing is going to go for the car itself. And that's one of the next things that's going to be coming out in the next 2 to 3 years is how do you validate not just yourself, your identity, but also the identity of your car?
Patrick, are you seeing lack of trust in your online process?
I don't actually. And it's so funny because I am a skeptic when I look on eBay and, whether you're looking at a watch or something like that, I'm like, ugh, that scares the sugar out of me. But when I see, I feel like dealers today have done a really good job of because we've not screwed people and the things we put out there are real and they are true. And I think just we continue to do that and you're just building this foundation that I think is being built on stone and not sand with the consumers. And I just think as dealers, we're fine. I think we're fine if we continue to do the right things over and over again.
Matt,
this puts my wholesale hat on. When you're looking at cars in the lane at your favorite auction, there's so much discrepancy in CRs between who's doing the CR and not. When you're looking, so I mean, something needs to happen because there's such a range. You could have a 4.8 somewhere and a 2.8 somewhere, and they're the same cars.
There's not. I mean, we'll now we know how to get Matt lit, and we'll talk about the disparities.
That's getting me lit because that's a great point. That's a whole nother show.
That's a
100%.
But it actually goes back to the deal is on the dealer level, I feel like that. But when you look at actually who's behind taking the pictures and who's presenting them out there, I think it actually goes back to reputation. It really does. And you're building your reputation, good or bad, you're building it. And I think on the CR side of it, to Matt's point, that's a disaster.
I want to make one more point. So I'm always looking at real estate and properties, and everyone's always coming after car dealers and the car industry. I mean, when they show a house, it's completely fake. There's no disclaimer. It's all CGI, all new furniture. I mean, could you imagine if we did that when we were listing our cars? I mean, they can come after us, and they don't have to do anything. I go to Zillow, I go to Realtor.com. The houses are it's fantasy land, and the average person says, "Oh, that's beautiful."
But the only ones getting looked at are the ones with real furniture. Those are the ones people click on, right? When they're real. I totally agree with you. And that's why if you just do it right, you're going to.
It's not true 100% of the time because otherwise Zillow Gone Wild would have no content to post. And just my 2 cents really with Bring a Trailer though. I mean, it's a little bit because the commentary comes from the people who are leaving this information under the comment section. Let's call it what it is. Like, we don't know anything about their background or the veracity of who they are. So we don't know about the veracity of the things that they're dropping in there. So it's kind of like you just combine Yelp and an eBay auction together. But moving on. We've got another manufacturer that looked way up in the upper automotive echelons, and kind of one of those like you can copy my homework but don't make it too obvious scenarios. Toyota decides they're going to take on the Cullinan, right? And then Patrick's already smiling. So $170,000 estimated U.S. starting price, I'm guessing, and then that's should be coming next year. Is that the case? So another OEM looking for the luxury, is that so? I'm kind of saying, I've been saying this is a little bit of a pattern. And my question that I always ask is, are Toyota dealerships ready for these clients? So Patrick, obviously I want to start with you on that one.
Are you getting them?
I don't know. Well, you know what? The national dealer meeting is next week, and hopefully we'll hear more about it. But I do think some
Can I
dealers
come?
are. What's that?
Can I join for the dealer meeting?
Yeah, I'll sneak you in with a name tag. Don't tell anyone.
He did last time.
But I do think that there are some dealers where I actually think the experience that we give at our Toyota store and a lot of my friends at their Toyota stores is better than some luxury. So I do believe that at that point, but I do believe that customer is going to get something special, right? I don't know what that looks like. I hope they come. I'd love to take a shot at providing that unbelievable guest experience that somebody buying $170,000 Toyota should get.
You could pull it off. I know some Toyota dealers that couldn't. You could pull it off. I think, what was the Cadillac Celestiq? What is that, 350? I can't remember. We talked about that.
Yeah.
So this is half the price of that, right? And even when you look at an Escalade at 150K, 160K, this isn't that far off from what we're seeing in kind of like not ultra luxury.
There's a difference in the pop culture sort of phenomenon that was surrounding Escalade versus driving your Toyota.
For sure.
I would rather have a Toyota.
This vehicle, though, I don't think we have it to show, but it looks like a mashup of like a Rolls Royce and Range Rover and Kia. I guess I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least some type of Chinese automaker in the front headlights there for sure.
And you look at the interior features, definitely catered towards someone who gets driven around. It has the middle seats fully reclined with a leg rest. I think it's a really unique vehicle. You don't see many vehicles like this that are not a Rolls Royce or not something like super. You don't see many
chauffeur-driven Toyotas. I'll give you that.
Well, these cars.
It doesn't look like a Toyota, or it's not badged Toyota either.
These cars are being created for the Chinese market. And what's happening is, and that's my gut, is like it was originally created for the Chinese market, but you're seeing these Chinese native EV brands really getting stronger. So I think we could adapt these in the US. I say we bring these cars in. I know some of the brands I sell are presenting this and saying Chinese market only, bring them to the US.
Where they can ultimately then be exported back to China. Okay. So
that's right.
Then are we going to have, is it ICE until 2050?
Yeah, that is a white flag saying we can't compete with Elon. We don't know what the heck to do. So let's just, we'll separate our businesses and ICEs will be into 2050. That's how I read that.
And we'll be too old to care.
I take it as, I mean, if somebody's saying that, it's just like, it's no different than cafe standards. They just keep moving the finish line every single year. It's not like a business. Nobody's ever held accountable for forecasting incorrectly.
No.
Hey, did you guys ever actually finish what you said you were going to do? You can lay out all these grandiose plans, requested all this budget, but who got, is there one throat to choke when the goal is not attained, like there is when a CEO gets fired in a company because they didn't deliver on their expectations? And that's the exception in this situation, is that nothing ever happens. There's no consequences. So why not just say, yeah, we'll do it by 2028. I'm not going to be here anyway.
Yep.
I don't want to get political, but that is the landscape of whatever. It all depends on what happens in politics in the next X amount of years. So
that
number,
I'm reading between the lines what you're saying, Patrick, and I'm with you.
Yeah,
but I mean, doesn't Europe? Right.
No, I get that, but I just feel in our country that number that goalpost is going to keep moving as administrations change.
I know. Frank, can you imagine how many administration changes there are going to be between now and 2050?
Exactly. Like
I
remember in 1998, I'm supposed to have flying cars out here by now. In 1998, cars were going to be flying by now. So, does anybody have one flying car? Brian?
No, I wish. I'd be into that.
I feel like we're getting close, though.
I mean, we can't really figure out self-driving, we're going to give a little bit longer to this segment. But because the second part of that was that Aramco, right, which is the world's largest, biggest, most comprehensive oil, fuel, petroleum company, has been testing e-fuels, which I feel like we're the only people that are really talking about e-fuels. And they say that right now there's 24 types of engines that need no modification, and they can start using e-fuels right now, which would achieve the harsher EU criteria of zero carbon dioxide emissions from the tailpipe. So is there real potential for e-fuel? Because obviously, despite that promise, skeptics are going to tell us that it's not viable, at least in the short term, because high costs and low availability. But you've got the world's largest. I mean, there's one thing that I know: the world's largest oil refining distribution company says, like, no, we think this can work. Like, I kind of want to.
What else are you going to say when electric is on your heels?
Well, electric is, but the batteries are not. And that's really the holdup. If the batteries were there, all of this would make so much more sense. But everybody's putting the cart before the horse. And you get this low range. If you solid state batteries, everybody would just wait till 2030, which is when that's supposed to all be caught up and all that. It's the problem is everybody's trying to force it down everybody's throat instead of just letting it play out organically.
I follow the money. They can't make money, and we're competing with someone who wakes up and says, we're going to lower the price 10 grand. And these guys must blow their brains.
Because the government's giving them that money.
Yeah.
Government subsidies for battery electric doesn't work. It's not sustainable, and it doesn't work. I'm on record. And I'm not just
I'm very proud of you for saying that, Daniel. That's a big step.
I got another question. All right. This is interesting. So now EV is plug-in hybrid. It's mild hybrid, EV asterisk. That's what everyone's using. They're using them in their sales numbers. Even BYD uses, plug-in hybrids in their sales numbers. So does it work reverse? ICE into 2050. Are those ICE are probably mild hybrid and plug-in hybrids too. So they're like double dipping. They're counting mild hybrids and plug-in hybrids as EVs. And then they're also ICE. I mean, they reinvent the rules as they go by.
Yes, right? Can it run on just battery? Yes. Can it run on just the ice? Yes.
It's everything. Crazy.
That's right, though. Whatever the asterisk is at the bottom, you can. I mean, we all do it. You can twist up the narrative on however you want to present it. Every news station does it, and anybody who's pro EV is going to twist it one way. Anybody who's not is going to twist it the other way.
Yeah, I love it. Got to say, "Told you so."
Right, Matt. Are you the angriest Subaru dealer in the Northeast?
I want a Subaru. I don't have Subaru, but thank you. But I'm.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
He's like, doesn't this voice and face just reflect the love promise?
I'll bet people love coming to give me tattoos.
It's just how I communicate.
People love me. I needed to marry a publicist.
Wow. All with the biggest nuke of Wheelhouse short history. All right.
Yeah. I'll get you there.
I just get excited. I'm sorry.
No, we love it. I mean, listen, we need your.
No, you're just vocalizing what the whole country's feeling, but everybody's like, I don't want to talk. Like, can we talk about something else?
It's hypocritical, and I know it's not on the agenda, but you're going to see these headlines about Off Lease Only, and I don't want to bring it up, but you're going to, they're going to make a narrative that, our business is it's shaky, it's fundamentally not strong, used cars, and then if you peel the onion away,
that's the canary in the coal mine.
You see that they were a great business until they took Wall Street money and cashed out, and then the business went to crap. So I don't know. I don't like hypocrisy.
Okay.
Today was that day, Paul.
I knew it. I think I seeded that one.
Yeah.
We just had to make it okay.
Can we shift to Off Lease Only?
But okay, let's move past that, right? So privacy, which seems everything needs to be connected, right? I can tell Nathan's mad because he took off the timeline graphic at the bottom of the show.
He's like, I'm taking away all your graphics until you move on.
So anything that's connected, sharing to make things more convenient for you. And there's a lot of precedent to if you want a lot of freedom, you have to give up some liberty. And if you want some things, you have to give up some things. But in areas that we're not always expecting, anytime we're sharing something, then it goes into the category of privacy. So now let's never mind, Zillow and the other things, but automotive is officially the worst category. A jaw-dropping report from the Mozilla Foundation, which I didn't even know there was a Mozilla Foundation because I was a big Netscape fan, but that's beside the point. Cars are CompuServe. Cars are officially the worst category of products for privacy. How alarmed are any of you on here?
Alarmed, not surprised.
Whose data is it that you're talking about? Because I can't get a straight answer as to who owns it.
Well, I'll tell you what, in one of the articles that I read about it, what Mozilla said was the worst thing you can do is download the OEM app.
Wow.
That was their thing. They're like, that's when it gets really bad, pretty
Wow.
much. When you download the OEM's app, and that's when it's the worst privacy situation. So I haven't seen much about that, but I read that. I was like, oh.
Wow.
So it was
So
85% of the surveyed automakers. I mean, and they looked at, I think, pretty much certainly at least volume brand wise, they looked at pretty much everybody, right?
Yep.
And 85% of those surveyed automakers share car owners' data to data brokers. So I'm not just saying like you're sharing it with the manufacturer. I get it, how many miles are on my car, but you're selling my information.
You're selling it.
I have
Right? And that's not,
I've been told.
I got to be honest.
Is that any different than what Facebook and
I've been
Google
told
do?
so many times from OEM executives that we don't know who the customer is, and we need to come up with a way where we know who the customer is. We're the, people, outside consultants come in and they look at our business and they say we spend all this money, but we don't know who the end user is. You know those customers, and you need to share that data with us. And what are they doing with this information if they don't know who the customer is and the privacy is the worst?
and then 55%.
I'll give you a
of car makers-
counterpoint to this topic, because I can see this. Let me show you another perspective on this. So currently, when you go into a dealership, you pull up in the service drive, and it's a timely process. And you got to go from one tech stack to another tech stack, and this system and that system, and you wait, and all this stuff just crawls through all these different systems. And when it pushes, it doesn't. And then you know better than everybody on this call knows better than anybody how disjointed that is, right? So now take it back to Patrick with Toyota Smart Path, right? Where you pull up and they know who you are. And they already know why you're there. And that system, because it was already in the appointment system, has already ordered the parts or ordered the tires, the brand you had too. Because how many times does somebody come in, hey, you knew I was coming in. I put tires and you don't have the tires in stock? Well, I'll give you a loaner car. What's the point of that?
Yeah, but what does that have to do? But what does that have to do with this kind of data? Right? Like you're talking about personal details, right?
All right, hang on, Patrick.
All of that
I'm directing traffic
for that. I would give my data over to have that experience. I gladly give it to you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well, here's my deal on data, and I know this is not a popular opinion. I don't care.
You don't care if they're making money off of your data?
I don't care that they're making
Stop Google and Facebook.
And this is almost to Brian's point. I'm going to finish Brian's point. If you can spy on me to serve me better, fine. Like I don't care what if people hear what I have to say. If I care, then I shouldn't be saying like
I don't know that it serves you better though. That's so disappointing that I made room for you to talk and you just went on to prove Brian's point. But
I know.
Daniel, how many times do you buy a pair of Tom Ford shoes that you didn't know existed because it's like, hey, we know you like this. And you're like, and you click buy now, right? And then all of a sudden they show up the next day. You didn't have to go look at anything else. You didn't have to sit there and scour through all these other decisions that shouldn't have been made anyway. You just got the ones that you wanted, and it knew what you wanted before you even know.
If I do that, it's because Mr. Porter or Farfetch sent me a notification that something advantageous was available and made it easy.
They bought your data from a data broker.
They bought my data because I'm their customer. Because I bought stuff from them.
Facebook or Google is printing money selling it to them because they have your identity.
This is my okay. Well, let's explain this then, right? Because this is the part where it gets like really interesting.
I'm looking for my popcorn.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Where are we going with this? So this is the part that I really don't understand. I'm quoting from the Popular Science article of this. If all that weren't enough, an additional creepy layer further worsens matters. According to Mozilla, at least two companies, Nissan and Kia, include privacy policy data categories explicitly labeled, quote, sexual activity and, quote, sexual life.
Again, if you want my data to serve me better, there you go.
Right, you're not trying. It's
that
like
gives it a
digital
whole
retail.
new connotation, Patrick. That is a whole other. That's a whole new.
5% want to go all the way through on digital retail, but you still got to appeal to them. And there's different people, and all kinds of people like different things.
What sexual data are Nissans and Kias getting that they're
Maybe
selling?
they're looking for
suspension information. I don't know.
Swinger clubs. They can geofence it. There's a lot of different things you can do with that information.
So then that's not cool. I mean, people go to those things. They park in
Facebook forums don't know who you are.
The heated seat package, the subscription. You opt in for heated seats.
Massaging rear seats. There's reclining. That Toyota Century is like perfect for this type of activity. It's a lifestyle brand.
So anyone remember, if you get a data privacy complaint from one of your clients at the store, just call Brian Kramer and have them talk to him so that he can explain to them just how ridiculous that is, because really it's ridiculous because we've been stalking you legally or illegally for quite a long time, and you just get used to it because it's your car also. Just because it's been done by other companies doesn't make it right for another company to do it. I mean, the precedent doesn't, an illegal precedent doesn't then make it legal just because it's been done before illegally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just don't care. Like, I just don't care that people are listening to me. I don't.
So here's what I think we should actually be talking about. Who cares, right? Who does care?
Ooh, good
And
point.
what does this mean to them?
I just don't
Right?
think.
And what does this say about us? How's this going to, like, as the auto industry, as this is coming out, how do we think consumers are reading this information? And what does that do for us?
How does this not?
It depends on how it's served up.
Does this not have the potential, though, to violate HIPAA information, though? People who are getting treated for certain diseases, people who are seeking medical information on certain conditions that they have, people who are seeking life-saving procedures for things that they may have. Does this not then also raise it? It's a little bit more serious than just a ha-ha of a slap and tickle that somebody's having in the back of a Kia. Because I think that there's a lot more things that people are. Dang, I was trying to be.
Well,
serious.
what if it's used for good? What if it's used for good? What if that person who has something wrong with them and they're talking about it and they're served up an ad on a treatment that could save their life that they would never know about if that data
or a
wasn't.
mobility accessory.
Yeah, nobody's telling you that that's what they're doing it for, though. Nobody's saying like we're doing this with those really
Our
good intentions.
OEMs are not sophisticated enough. No offense to any of them out there to even.
He's like, really, guys? Really,
Except
guys?
Subaru. Except Subaru.
Oh, some are.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
And what happens the next? What happens? Final thought. What happens the next time that there's an endemic out there, right? And all of a sudden your car's ratting you out by who you've been to, and combined with some exposure data, and all of a sudden you get in. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's always where it ends up, right? You build this structure in this machine, and at some point, somebody you don't want is at the controls, right? And this just becomes part of that, and it could be for the best intentions. I mean, gosh, we'll get too far down this rabbit hole. Daniel, you and I'll jam on this at ASOTU.
Oh, we will. Okay.
Not on a stage though.
Nice.
We'll get kicked off.
Oh,
half the people will agree with us. Half the people won't.
I had so many more euphemisms to go, especially with Nissans. But anyway, we'll. What I didn't do this whole time, which I need to get, gosh darn it, need to get better at, is announcing point totals. But I really don't think that there could be any better winner in this case than Matthew Haiken. I don't think that there's even a point in going over the points.
Well, thank you.
I
got bumped the last week, so I had to make a comeback.
Crushed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really show off. So, we're gonna do a little rapid fire, as such. And
who's got the record?
I don't know, Paul. Who's got the record?
Is it me? It was me.
Oh,
5.
Okay.
You got to beat 5.
You got to beat 5. All right. So we've got 20 seconds. Matt, I'm going to read as fast as I can. You're going to answer as fast as you can. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Who has the best hair on the wheelhouse?
Oh, you.
Thank you. Rate your experience with EV so far on a scale of 1 to 10.
5.
Okay. You can only use one social media site for your dealership. Which one is it?
Instagram.
After Coons, what's the next large dealer group to get acquired?
Ooh.
I was hoping you were just going to blurt. It was just going to be like,
I know, but I honestly I didn't want to get in trouble.
is it yours?
I'm just getting started. I'm a young punk. I'm just trying to make it.
Okay.
That's a tough question.
That is.
I mean, any guesses? Anybody want to venture on that?
I wouldn't have ever guessed Coons.
Yeah.
Is that, do we think, I just want to just hang on a minute. Was that the major large acquisition of a major large dealer group that Bob Lanham heard a rumor that there was a rumor about?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
We can probably have him back on the show now because like he has nothing else to sleep. So
And I gotta say, like, Off Lease Only is only going to drive blue sky and more transactions for new car franchises.
Big time.
all right,
That's a
and then
big
we've got
deal.
We've got a little FMK segment here, the buy, lease, or wholesale. Those questions, by the way, in this segment are all courtesy of Nathan, who makes all of this possible. and much like Matt's desire to revolve around off lease only, Nathan really took a liking to the Toyota Century. And so
can we ask Matt? Yeah. Matt, why do you think that's going to drive up blue sky and new car transactions?
So, you know, they got pumped up with private equity, and I just think that these private equity, they're there to roll up and sell, right? So, you know, I just think that you're going to see, if you see outside money coming into the business, and you're seeing more and more of it. And I really appreciate the transparency of the new group in Florida. What's the group in Florida? The big group who's using Morgan. That he's actually transparent, talking about his relationships with the family office, because I think there's so many secretive private equity and family office dealers, and they don't talk about it because of the fear of the OEM, and they want to be the biggest guy at this convention. But I think there's a ton of it out there, but they just don't talk about it. And I just think they're going to be like, okay, we put it in used car independent, it didn't work, let's go after even more franchise dealers. That's how I see it.
We were so close to finishing on time today.
I think you're right. That was worth it.
Yeah. But we're going to do an episode just on like all these people, because we all talk and stuff. Oh, is that guy, where's his money? How's he growing? How do you spend $100 million on that store? And Morgan's been really transparent in their structure.
There's also a lot of those big groups that don't take their eye off the wheel with their CITs. And
we're cutting into our ad time right now, fellas. All right, we're cutting in our ad time, and let's not.
I lose control sometimes.
Which are absolutely none, and so I want to be respectful of that. And
like Wikipedia,
but he's afraid to sponsor this show.
That's what I'm saying. If anybody out there is truly transparent, then sponsor the people that look at things equally. All right. We're not going to give you an easy pass, but that would show a lot of people you got a lot of integrity. I'm just saying. Okay. Nice. So the buy, lease, or wholesale, to wrap this up, these are all going to be Toyota Centuries. They all have a little bit of a different version to them, right? So which one you want to buy, which one you leasing, which one you wholesaling. So you got a Toyota Century that runs on e-fuels. You've got a Toyota Century, but and there actually is a model there. Look at that. But everything on it is going to be subscription. And you've got a Toyota Century that also you can have it, but it's going to sell every bit of your data to anyone who wants to buy it. Jealous exes, brokers, anybody. All right. So Patrick, I mean, I love that you roll your eyes better than anyone I've ever seen on any kind of show. So like, I want to start. Tell me, go ahead. I don't care. I'll take all of them. I don't care.
E-fuels. I'm wholesaling that. I just don't even want to deal with that. Yes, I don't want. I just too much brain damage. I will lease subscription because that'll change, and I'll buy data capture because again, I don't care.
Fair enough, Matthew.
I'm gonna buy subscription. I'm a big subscription fan. I think it's cool. I'll lease the e-fuels, and I will wholesale data capture.
All right, Paul.
I'm going to follow his lead there. I'm buying subscription. I'm going to lease e-fuel, see what it's all about. And I'm wholesaling data capture. Don't need it in my life. Or don't need them in my life. Even though they're already in my life with every other app I have.
Already. Kramer, Brian?
I'm buying data capture because at least that way I can, over the long term, control what data I'm letting them have. I'm going to lease the subscription for like a stop loss on the stock when all that stuff goes away. Then I'm going to wholesale e-fuels because we're not ready for it. And I can probably buy it later at a price drop after Elon Musk or whoever drops the price and everybody else has to follow suit. And I'll get it at a cheap price.
Well done.
Wow. That's the extra commentary that's that extra bit of panache that you come to the wheelhouse for right there. So it's a little bit of
e-fuels on my wheelhouse
that we sprinkle on top. E-fuels need to be in our wheelhouse. Okay. Some of us are really anxious to see if that could be a proper alternative to battery electric vehicles in the near term. But I
drove one out in California, one of those hydrogen cars.
You don't know what on that note means. No one's ever told you that.
Which note is it?
Exactly. So we'd like to welcome you guys to the next episode. Come back next week for lucky number 7 of the Wheelhouse. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. Thank you, Nathan Southwick, for putting everything together. And we will hear you guys next week on episode number 7 of the Wheelhouse. Thanks.